Hello everybody, I'm Alexey Krabrov, the organizer of Bay Area AI Meetup, and we evolved over the last year. We actually used to be called SF Text and did a lot of NLP, and then we did a lot of machine learning, and then we realized that basically everybody does the same thing for all kind of different things, and now it's all called AI. However, we love to go to our NLP roots, and so today we have Darryl McAdams with us here, who is doing cool stuff with language. Hi Darryl.
Hello, how's it going?
All right, thanks for coming. We're looking forward to your talk. Can you tell us a little bit about the things you do with language?
Yeah, so basically right now I'm working on a project called Language Engine, and what it lets you do is at a high level, you have some natural language input and it transforms that into a logical representation of the meaning that you can use for basically anything you want. So for instance, you could use it to perform database queries, or you could fly a drone with it, or whatever you want.
So you mentioned that you're a linguist, you're a type theorist. How do type systems figure into this?
So traditionally, you might represent the meaning of a sentence or something like this as a proposition in first-order logic or something. One extension to first-order logic is to something called dependent types, which actually makes the proofs of parts of the proposition available to later parts of the proposition, which turns out to be really useful for all sorts of things like pronouns and presuppositions and stuff.
So the same dependent types as in Idris?
Yep.
This is interesting. So basically, they are more applicable to NLP than other types.
Yeah, and that's something that probably most people don't really know about.
Yeah, I've not heard about this. I mean, now that you mention it, it seems obvious. But
well, propositions are types, right?
So why then we didn't see, at least I didn't see an NLP system written in Idris yet?
So if you wanted to write something in Idris, you would have to actually dig around in the Idris compiler and make some changes to customize it. And I guess you could do that, but that's very difficult. Then you have to learn how the Idris compiler works.
Yes,
and it's much easier to just build it from scratch.
Yes. So what are you using for it then right now? To implement it?
So Language Engine is implemented entirely in Haskell.
Okay.
Which so is Idris.
Yes.
But what I've done basically is I've used Haskell to implement a custom programming language that is geared towards natural language stuff.
Okay.
So it
Does
has
it have a name?
It's called Golem.
Okay.
Not that you could search for it on Google and find anything.
Okay.
So it has some special modifications to the type system to account for things like the distinction between stuff that you want to exist at the language meaning level and stuff that you want to exist at the level of programming language meanings. And so there's a special type distinction between those two levels. And also there are just some extra facilities that are special to natural language, like delimited continuations and these sorts of things.
Interesting. Yeah. So how much of this is open source, or how much of it is you plan to be open source? Can the Golem be an open source layer for NLP, language for Haskell?
So technically, Language Engine is not open source, but the major components of it are. So there are two main components. There's the implementation of the programming language, and then there's a parser. And both of those are actually open source on my GitHub.
Okay.
And the only stuff that's not open source is the nasty API stuff. the server stuff that hits the database and all this. It's ugly. I don't want people to see that code.
Yes. Okay. And so what are the plans for this project? How do you want to? Should it be a startup? Should it be kind of research area? What are your kind of long-term agenda?
Oh, long-term, I want it to be bigger than Google.
All right.
So the long-term idea is to actually have a company that provides all of the real AI stuff of the future. not just AI for doing data analysis, but the AI that you build your robots out of, right?
Okay.
The AI that you have your intelligent agents built out of,
Okay.
right? That kind of AI. And so language is an important part of that, and so this is the first step towards that.
So is it conversational AI? Is that basically the systems which understand humans and can converse?
Yeah, exactly. That's the goal. I don't want to claim that that's what it does.
Yes.
But that's the goal.
So, I mean, this is great to hear, right? Because in my mind, right, we see this tremendous hype with chatbots. And a lot of chatbots basically, are kind of rule-based, ELIZA-like systems.
Yeah.
And so I think there is a huge disconnect between the enthusiasm for bots and understanding that you need multiple lives of NLP PhDs encoded in the chatbots, probably. At least that's what I kind of think, from my historical context. But so do you think, that so you can build a chatbot, right? Like I know a few people who, I can trust. If they build a chatbot, it will probably be a very intricate, a very well crafted chatbot, right? But a lot of people, who get into this don't even code. They get APIs like Watson. And they think they can build a chatbot. So are you going to give them an API to do this? Are you going to build custom chatbots? How do you think this is going to evolve? What does it take to build a chatbot? Can it become mass-produced? Or do you have to essentially give people this chatbot and then you will operate it, your company will operate it, you'll have the high priests of Golem who will update it and so forth?
Yeah, that's a good question. So the way it is right now, you can go in and you can write whatever code you want in Golem, and it will run it. Though it does sort of require that you know what you're doing, right? Yes. You know how to program in it. And
you probably need to drop down to Haskell.
No, you don't need to drop down to Haskell to program this stuff.
Okay.
That's why I made Golem, so that everything can be done in Golem and it's specific to this task.
Can the power user extend Golem by going to Haskell? Do you anticipate the needs? Like somebody will be able to do this, or do you want to completely isolate them from?
It should be completely isolated. I mean, you shouldn't have to learn Haskell on top of Golem in order to do this. But so in order to do this, you do have to have knowledge of Golem, and you also have to have some knowledge of things like a little bit of natural language syntax and semantics. And ideally, these are things that could be abstracted away so that the user doesn't have to learn this. But the real goal is that there would be a number of standard packages. So if you're building like a drone application or whatever, there would just be a drone package and you would load that up, and ideally it should have everything that you need. And then the only thing you would have to code is actually how you implement the functionality that you want to implement on your side. You wouldn't have to you wouldn't have to touch the natural language stuff at all.
Interesting. So basically you would give people a building blocks and tools to build the chatbots.
Yeah, if you wanted to build a chatbot, chatbots have like a number of different flavors, and so it's hard to comment on building specific, like building an ELIZA chatbot. You don't really need to know anything about anything to do that. You just you build a markup chain.
You need to kind of keep conversation going, right?
Yeah. But I mean, as we know from like some of the things that have gone through the what is the fake Turing test? It's not actually a Turing test. It's the Loebner Prize, right? As we know from some of the bots that go through the Loebner Prize and fool people, you don't have to do really anything, because it turns out that people are really easy to fool. So I don't know. It's hard to comment on chatbots because there's a huge variety of things that count as chatbots these days. And
that's right. I just read somewhere that there was a Google chatbot which basically learned that not to be penalized for mistakes, the best strategy is to everything to answer "I love you," and so basically because it will not be.
Well, why not, right?
It will bring people into a good mood, and so right. So like something like this can work. It does not have any intelligence.
Yeah.
Right. So this is interesting, right? So but probably you will target some applications where people will need to kind of exchange information about real world knowledge. How do you basically plug in knowledge? Let's say, I want to build a chatbot which will, be customer service, right? And so, you will start talking to it and will say, like, where is my stuff, right? I paid you the money, where's my order? And so forth. So how would you connect, customer database, from Amazon and kind of purchase order and payment, like facts about into your system? Is it a good use case for this?
I think for some chatbot things there could be, some chatbot things you might want to use language engine, but I think for the most part, a lot of these customer service applications or shopping applications, what you really need is not the kind of precision that language engine gives you. You don't need to know the formal meaning of an input, right, of a sentence. You need gists, right? You need the gist of it,
right,
but not the exact detail. Whereas if you're flying a drone, you want your drone to do exactly what you want it to do, right? There's a very precise thing that you're aiming to have it do,
yes.
And if it goes and flies off, into a tree or something, that's
Shoot at the guy in the white hat, not in the black hat.
Yeah, and so there are definitely different requirements for different domains, and for things like customer service, you can probably do a lot without getting very sophisticated.
Yes, that's what they're doing, right? Because you just have like selection of possible types of queries.
Yeah.
So okay, then what is your ideal use case? Let's say you have a customer in mind. What is the application? What kind of dialogues are they going to have with the chatbot?
So one possible application is you could imagine a company that provides business information visualizations, where what you want to query. Let's say the CEO of Starbucks wants to know, what the most popular drinks are by state.
Yes.
Sorted by popularity or whatever.
Yes.
During the month of February, who knows, right? Something like that, where there's a lot of information and the way it relates to other information in the sentence is very important. You could totally do that with language engine.
Interesting. Are you going to demo it?
I'm not going to demo that. One of the reasons that I keep mentioning the drone idea is actually I am working on a demo controlling a drone. Unfortunately, controlling a drone in this context is sort of tricky because what you would really, really like is good sensors on the drone, and most drones don't have good sensors. You would like to be able to say, what is around me? Oh, yes. there's a tree over there, and there's a chair over there.
Yes.
And, this is where the drone is in relation to this stuff. And getting that to work is much harder than just controlling the drone.
So you need the drone basically to run some deep learning kind of image recognition and and give you the scene, like in short loop. Here are the chairs, here are the things.
Fortunately, that's a problem that drone companies are actually working on, so I don't have to solve that.
Right. You'll just get kind of normalized names for things.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool, this is so awesome. I mean, I'd like to continue this conversation. We have to wrap up because, this is like a pre-talk, and then we'll have your main talk we're looking forward to. But, you're welcome to come back anytime and, show us how this work progresses.
Cool.
Thanks.